Arts and Adventure summits the airwaves. This is the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. I'm R. Brandon Long, along with
Todd Oberndorfer.
Todd Oberndorfer. Where are you right now? You're not here in the studio, so you are calling in from afar.
Can you see? Can you see the background right here? This is my office location at the Art Barn in the Finch Lane Gallery. And so I'm working the night shift. Yeah. So I'm here from 5 to 8:30. And so it means if you hear a little ding dong, I'll probably go say hi to somebody. But
so is this like
very hot? People are inside. When
you work the night shift, is it like night at the museum kind of thing? Is it haunted?
Yeah, everything comes to life. Everything comes to life.
Everything comes to life. Okay.
You know that.
Yeah, good.
We do have a ghost down here.
You do, for real?
It's an old building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it have a name?
I can't remember, though. It's like Phil or something like that.
Of course. Phil, like really, one of those really scary names like Phil.
Phil or Bill or... Yeah, I think it's Phil. I don't know why, but that's what I'm going to say. So,
well, our trailer is filled.
Thanks for letting me phone in.
Yeah, yep. We have a full trailer, and they're all wearing salmon shirts. It's awesome. Eden Valley Trails. So, beginning with the executive director, Alan Wheelwright. He is on the left over here, and then we have Bryce Dipoma. And Justin, is it Lindine? What is
Lindine?
Lindine. All with Eden Valley Trails. So we'll dive right in and talk some trails and get to know, because this is a very new nonprofit up in the valley. You were telling me before the show started that it is, Alan, you're the executive director, but you're only a year in. Like, how far in are you exactly?
7 months.
So not even a year.
Not even a year. No, we started at the first of the year. Yeah, so brand new nonprofit.
Like brand new. And then why did you decide, because we do have, so Ogden City Trails doesn't touch the valley, is that right?
Correct.
And then we did have Ogden Trails Network, which I got their little hat here. It's about the trails. But then, and you volunteered for them for years, so I've heard, as well as North Fork Park, which is...
Yeah, so I've spent about 15 years on the board of... used to be Weber Pathways, Trails Foundation.
Yeah.
And I've lived up in Ogden Valley for almost 20 years. Well, over 20 years. Raised my kids up there. And I just got a itch to start really building trails up there. And, I mean, I just want to see a way to bike all the way around the valley before it's too late. I mean, that place is getting built out like crazy right now.
It is.
Anyone's up there.
It's not too late then, right now?
No.
No. Okay.
As long as we can talk to some of the, I mean, not to get right into it, but there's a
we just dive right in.
There's really a brief window usually in an area where you still have some really big landowners where you can start to build trails. It's easier to talk to one landowner than it is to talk to, 100 people in an HOA. You're never going to get 100 people to agree to have a trail.
You can't get 100 people to agree the sky is blue. So, I mean, yeah.
No, so, I mean, that's really why I helped start this nonprofit. I love trails. I've worked up at North Fork Park. Well, I've volunteered up at North Fork Park for a very long time. I love the place.
You free worked.
I free worked. Exactly. Yeah. Been up there for a very long time. I love that place. I've helped built most of the trails that people love up there. And I just want to see it keep going.
There's trails in the valley. There's not enough of them, apparently. Like you saw, because you said you do run into, so there's Forest Service land, there's private land, and there's public. So there's enough space still to build in the valley?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so why hasn't it been done yet?
Because it's hard.
It's hard?
It's hard. It takes time, it takes money, and it just takes someone with a passion. Yeah. And I really think I have that passion just to build trails. I love mountain biking. I used to road bike. It scares the hell out of me anymore. I don't want to die.
It scares me when I'm in the car and I'm driving past a road biker. I'm like,
why are you doing that?
Bro, I hope you make it to wherever you're going. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, because it is scary, man. Yeah. But yeah, so the trails are multi-use, I think, mostly? Okay.
Most of them. Spork that Bryce and I and Justin helped build a couple years ago It was one of the first directional mountain bike only trails up at North Fork Park, and that's really become a massive draw for people. It's a beautiful trail. People have really started to appreciate what it is, and want to see more trails built like that. There's just too many people anymore up there. NICA, if you know anything about that.
Well, there's a lot of people in Park City, and they have a lot of trails.
They do.
So, like, it's not impossible.
But if you go up there and you see how Utah's #1 in high school mountain biking.
Yeah.
And you go up there on a Thursday or Friday and you see Weber High come up with 100+ kids. You see Fremont come up with about the same.
To the valley.
Yeah, to the valley, to North Fork Park, because the trails are so good. You realize that we need a lot more trails. And, a couple trail organizations could work up there and build trails like crazy, and they'd barely keep up with the demand.
Okay, so I'm just going to check it out, Todd. I'm drinking the trail ride because, might as well. That's what I don't know if it's in focus, but there we go.
Do you have a review for it yet?
No. Well, I do. I've had plenty. They're good. That's all I can say. UTOG sponsors van sessions. You should go buy UTOG beer because they support local artists and musicians, not specifically this podcast. We can talk to them about that later potentially, but they do sponsor van sessions. So this is just free advertising for UTOG, but it fits, and Justin is drinking one as well. So
we need to talk to them about getting us some beer up on the trail.
I think so. Yeah, they are eager to help. I mean, that's what I hear. They're eager to help you specifically. But let's dive into, you spent a lot of time, Alan, working with other nonprofits on trails and things. So, but where did you learn to build trails? Or do you actually build? Do you hire, your man to your left here to do that work for you?
Bryce is a trail master.
Yeah.
Justin's a chainsaw master. But
wait, do you juggle?
He does. It's really cool. You should see him.
And I still have hands.
And you still have hands. Yeah, that's very impressive.
So, that was one thing I really wanted about this organization is it's small. The executive director is out there building trails. Almost all the money, around 95% of the money that people donate goes directly to trail building, trail maintenance. We have very little overhead, and so I'm out there sweating with these guys every day, building the trails. But it's worth it. It really is.
All right, Bryce, master trail builder. What was your first trail you built when you were 5?
Across the street from my parents' house, there was a field, and that's what we did. We built jumps.
Did you really?
Trails. Yeah.
like bike jumps?
Yeah, we had bike jumps, and I was more into digging holes. I bought my own shovel at about age 7.
Yeah, because playing in dirt's fun.
I like to dig holes, and I'm doing it as an adult now.
And getting paid, or do you get paid? You get paid? So I can volunteer. Okay, and get paid. Where'd you live? Where'd you grow up?
In Pleasant View.
Yeah, you can dig all over out there. At least you could at the time.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, it's probably pretty busy now.
Yeah.
Or full of houses or something, but it's okay. So you dug, so you're familiar with the shovel, but I've heard that is not necessarily what you use out there on the trails these days to make new trail.
Yeah, we use a Mini X and shovels and McLeods and you name it.
Okay. Are you like a trail engineer? Are you engineering the trails? Like, how do you do that side of things?
We do it jointly. We also, our board chair, John Pendleton, he does usually a computer program called Gaia, and he'll map things out, and then we go field check everything and flag it and dig from there.
So how do you get permission, and how do you decide where the trail goes?
It's a long process. That's the process that really takes the time. You need to find a piece of property that someone might be willing, or you just go out and randomly say.
Wait, that's a good question. So you do have homeowners or private property owners, and you're like, oh man, I really want to go through their property to access this. So then you got to approach them. You
got to convince them. Yeah, Sidewinder Trail is a trail that Bryce and I helped build, and that was one of the first times I've really worked with John Lewis up in Ogden Valley, and he didn't think it was, well, I can't say he didn't think it was a good idea. He was a little hesitant about putting in this trail around the subdivision. And so I kind of convinced him. We found someone else to pay for it, and then we built this trail. By the time we were about halfway through, we were out of money, and he came back and said, I'll pay for this because I have people coming here now to buy property that
because there's a trail.
Because there's a trail.
So there's value to the real estate.
Oh, it's the massive value. Younger millennials, when they can't afford a house, which isn't very often, that's one of the things they want. They want amenities like that right outside their back door. And so convincing a landowner to do that's one option. You just make sure that if you build a trail like that it'll always be open to everyone. You get the proper easements. You can, your question was, where do you build them? How do you do it?
Yeah.
So you just find somewhere to build them. I mean, you beg, plead, whatever, and say, hey, this is the connection we want to make. Like around Ogden Valley, just kind of taking it out in chunks. Okay, here, this is Forest Service, this is DWR. You talk to DWR, you build a relationship. You talk to the Forest Service, you build a relationship over 10, 15, 20 years. Talk to Weber County, you build a relationship with them. And eventually you get approval, you get trust, and then you can build some cool trails.
Yeah, so you can't just like... Bryce, like you can't just like I live in the terrace. I can't just go to the Eden and show up with a shovel and start making a trail somewhere, right? Like,
oh, people do.
People. Okay, well, so you're telling me there's a chance.
They're usually pretty crappy though.
Yeah. Okay, so do you work with the county at all?
Yeah, that's where North Fork Park is county.
Yeah, it's county. Okay, and then what's your boundaries? I guess where do you not? What are you not looking at? Like northeast, west, south? How far do you kind of go?
Pretty much anything that connects into Ogden Valley is what we're looking at right now.
Okay.
So if it connects into Ogden Valley, whether it's Old Trappers Loop, whether it's North Ogden Divide, whether it's anything that goes around there, we only have... Right now we have 3 people on a board, and we might get bigger. I hope we don't get too much bigger.
We got to buy more shirts.
Yeah, we have to buy more shirts. Yeah. Right, but yeah, I mean, at this point, that's just really where I want to focus. I mean, mainly because I live up there, and I like the place.
What's your dream trail? Like you live up there.
Yeah.
What have you looked at and scoped out? And it's like, oh man, if we could only build there.
Oh, I've got it up here. I
thought you might. Yeah.
Big dreams.
Big dreams. Circumnavigate. I want to be able to go all the way around Ogden Valley on a dirt single track. Yeah, there's a little sections here and there, Bryce, that you'd have to cross a road or something like that. But I mean, 50-mile, maybe
like on the south side of the dam too, like where the road is.
Everything. Yeah, you'd have to drop down for a little section there and cross it, and then you'd go up like Wheelers and go up and around. Yeah. Up through Snow Basin. Connect it down into Morgan, connect it over onto the BST.
So where's like the dream start?
Where does the dream start?
No, where does the start? So if it's a loop, where do you start? Like where's the dream start on the loop?
As soon as we've... Yeah.
Well, North Fork Park probably. Right?
North Fork is where it
that's
starts?
kind of the epicenter of what we've been doing. I feel like, and it's a good spot to kind of jump off from. But
yeah, but I mean, it's just finding possibilities. So whether it's Powder Mountain, whether it's Snow Basin, or any of those areas, just working with them and putting all these pieces together, and then eventually it'll click, and we're like, man, you can ride your bike all the way around the Ogden Valley.
Okay, so here's a hard question for you. So there's so many people that you have to work with. Who right now is the one that's like resisting more than are you getting resistance from anybody?
I'll let you guys take this one.
No, thanks.
I think the Forest Service is probably the place where we're running into the most boundaries at the moment.
And that's probably what I've heard anyway. I don't know, is just they don't have bandwidth, right? And so that's usually the answer I get.
Yeah, they're understaffed and underfunded by and large, and they're just kind of overwhelmed with the idea of trying to add more responsibilities on top of what they
don't want to be held responsible, right?
Yeah, that too. Okay. And we're willing to do a lot of the labor and the cost part of it, and put that all on ourselves and figure out how to fund it and pay for it. But just getting them to kind of see the big picture,
because they're not local. Right. I mean, you have local representatives, but don't they have to get approval from who knows where?
There's local representatives, and that's usually who makes those decisions.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So building the relationships with those organizations, and then having eventually them saying, yeah, go ahead and do that. We know that you'll be around for another 10 years or whatever to maintain these trails.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. What about... Oh, I have my camera setting on the wrong thing. What about the private homeowners? Are they open to this most of the time? Not like John Lewis, who has like a lot of properties, like a more of a And he's got a lot of stuff going on, but I'm like single family homeowners and things.
There's this thing that people get hung up on is they think that people are going to come and stare in their windows. And
yes,
people don't want to stare in your windows. I hate to break it to you, but they don't want to see you in your underwear any more than they want to see me in my underwear. So,
wait a minute.
I think it's convincing people how cool it is to have a trail near their house. How nice it would be to be able to go out your back door and be able to jump on a trail.
That's my sales pitch right there.
Yeah.
But also the flip side is that, like, well, yeah, but I don't want this. I don't want the hooligans cruising through my yard. Yeah,
because that's what it attracts.
That's what. Well, that's what they say, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what's your sales pitch? Oh yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Oh no, sorry. I was just going to say that I think part of that is part of convincing people that it's a good idea and a worthwhile thing to let through their property is that big picture vision where you can imagine yourself or your kids or whatever, like connecting the dots to get from your house to downtown without having to ride on the road. Like if there's a cool way to use a trail network to get somewhere, that's a huge selling point to the safety of the community, to the fun level of the community. And like people just kind of need to get over the initial hump of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this liability in my backyard and see it as what it is, which is a resource that ties together the entire town and community.
So if you build a trail and it goes through a private property and someone wrecks their bike and gets injured on the private property and they try to blame you, the private property, like how does that work?
You can't.
You can't.
No, Utah's legislature, is very protective of the landowner. As long as you don't charge for anything and you don't do anything to like actually harm someone, you are completely held whatever. You can't be blamed for anything.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So there goes that excuse. What other excuses have you heard?
Just the privacy thing. That's pretty much it. But I think once people get over that and see what an amenity that leads to, it's not a big selling point anymore up in Ogden Valley that it's going to increase your home value because people are like, my house is worth too much already.
Right. Well, there's that.
Yeah, but that, it's a way to meet your neighbors. You don't, people you see in the car, you just kind of pass them and like, why didn't he stop correctly at the four-way stop? But when you're out biking and stuff, waving, talking to people and stuff like that, it's really what having a walkable community, having a bikeable community really is a community. Having a drivable community is not a thing. It's just a way for people to get from point A to point B.
So how do you measure success? Do you do it in miles built, or what do you measure your daily work success or maybe annual success rate on building trails up in Eden?
Yeah, I think miles of new trail built is definitely a metric that we're looking at to try to gauge how much we accomplished. We pay a lot of attention and get a lot of good feedback from the riding community in the area too. So there's also that
they
kind
just
of layer
want
on
more
top.
jumps.
Yeah, exactly. It's always the war between those who want more and those who want less jumps.
Yeah.
We try to split the difference. So how much fun people are having on what we're building, and how well it holds up over time. We put a pretty heavy focus on trying to build good trail that's not gonna wash away in the first heavy rainstorm, that's got the proper like control systems for water, that's got flow that keeps people from breaking hard in the wrong places and wearing out the trail prematurely. So just how well it holds up year in and year out. And we're out there doing the maintenance on a lot of it too, so it's easy to see that in real time.
So when you budget for trail building, do you put a certain bit aside for maintenance, or how does that work?
Well, we're a little early for that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we assume they wouldn't break down in year one.
No, but we started this year out going out and working on some new trails. One of the things that we're kind of proud of this year is we spent almost a month redoing Trail 365, which was a trail that I think is 10 years old up at North Fork Park, and it had really seen its age. It was originally designed as a green trail, supposed to be a really easy trail, but had just deteriorated because of poor water, a bunch of different reasons. And so we went back in, we spent the month, we redid just all the turns, we brought in a bunch of dirt, we got rid of a lot of rocks, and we also made it adaptive friendly so that people on adaptive bikes could get out there and use it without having assistance. Yeah. One of our goals, Bryce doesn't think it's going to happen, but is to be able to make probably the first adaptive fat bike trail in Utah that I know of. If we can
for winter, or?
for winter, yeah. So groom it wide enough. It's going to be a challenge, but that's one of our goals, is to see if we can do that. To allow people on hand cycles to get out and experience what it's like, because fat biking's fun too.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it might be, it might be more fun to do in the winter on an adaptive bike. Like that'd be awesome, because where do they go in the winter? Typically nowhere, right?
Skiing.
They go skiing. Yeah. Well, you got Alex. Is Alex runs the adaptive program up there?
Yeah, Alex is a great guy.
Yeah, and so he'd probably love that.
Yeah, we've been working closely with him. Yeah.
Good. Todd, what you got for these gentlemen here?
All right, so I got a couple of questions. So the first one is, are you Wheelwright, the lumber Wheelwrights? Are you connected with the family somehow?
Distant polygamous cousins.
Per usual in Utah. Yeah.
Same. I think
heir
it's
to the lumber. That's what I was hoping for. Just like an heir to the lumber.
One of the first things I went there, I said, "Hey, my name's Alan Wheelwright. I was wondering if I could get a discount." And Paul Wheelwright, who's a great guy, said, he goes, "If we gave a discount to every Wheelwright in this community, we'd be out of business." That's how you know you come from good polygamous stock.
That's funny. Did that really happen? Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, kind of have to come up with a new line. Yeah. That's funny.
Okay, I like that. All right, next question. So, because we have a studio full of trail experts, and so I would love to chat a little bit about trail etiquette. Maybe everybody's got something to say. In fact, we can start around. Brandon's got things to say. I struggle with off-leash dogs a lot. It's a pet peeve that I have, particularly. And we've had whole episodes just about, dog crap. Living in Utah, where people. So talk to me a little bit about etiquette. Give us all kind of collectively, something good to come.
Bryce, you're up.
That we should be integrating into our times on the trails.
Oh, there's so many to choose from. Probably rude people. If that's the
starts there, right?
Yeah, where you have the headphones and they're just all about them. They run you right off the trail, or you can't even pass them because they have their headphones in and they can't hear you. And just frustrating. Like this, you just make it miserable for everybody. It's unsafe for everybody.
But you can wear headphones on the trail. You just got to be nice and notice your surroundings.
Yeah.
Right?
Situational awareness, no matter what you're doing, is pretty important.
Yeah. Okay. What else, Bryce?
Oh, the dog's off a leash. I went over the handlebars because of a dog off leash just 2 weeks ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, all of a sudden there's a dog in front of me. I locked it up and went over the handlebars. Yeah. And there was no owner within 20 seconds of her. I got up, brushed all the dust off me, checked my bike out, and I'm like, there's just a random dog on the trail? And then all of a sudden she pops out around the corner.
Yeah, you're like, you almost killed me.
I'm like, yeah, thanks. Yeah. It should be on the leash.
Well, that spot, you can't control the wild turkeys, so
you can run over those.
Have you gotten? I was gonna say, do you run over those, or do you brake hard on those? Like how does that work?
Treat them like a berm, kind of ride off of them.
There's so many more. What's going on up there? They grew in population in the last 5 years. It like blows my mind. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Somebody keeps making these sweet trails for them to walk around.
Okay, and then Bryce, what do you have thoughts on? And this is my pet peeve that Todd mentioned is I don't know where or how this started, but it is great. I love that people put the dog poo in bags and just leave the bag. Now that part I don't like, because then there's just I'm like, I don't know what's worse. Might as well leave the dog poo out there, because now you got plastic in a bag and it's just left there forever. What's the solution?
I just pick it up and throw it into the tree somewhere. It's better than just sitting on the side of the trail.
Yeah. Take your poo home with you. Pack it in, pack it out. Pack it out.
Pack it out. Yeah. That's.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what fiction it is that allows people to believe they're going to come back and pick up that bag.
It's a thing.
They never do.
They never do.
You must tell yourself an amazing story. It's
very simple.
You think
you just say, I don't know. I'll get that on the way back.
I'm going to do that later.
I'm going to get that on the way back.
Right after I fold my laundry.
But you have to walk by it on the way back. Yeah, and that's where it's like, what goes through your head? You're like, nope, I'm not. That thing's staying there. Yeah.
After I changed the oil in my car. I'll come right back.
But at least I bagged it.
Yeah, I bagged it. Right. That's what it is, right? At least I bagged it. Like they've done the job. And so it can just stay there for life now, apparently. It's really weird. I don't know what the deal is with that, but that's, anyway. I don't know if that, so we're on.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. We're on this side of the earth as far as Ogden goes. You're in the valley, so I'm talking more with the shoreline. I don't know. I can't talk for the valley. Maybe that doesn't happen in the valley.
Yeah, the people there are much more sophisticated.
Much more. Zero pooping bags.
Since we put up that wall and kept all the occupants.
Yeah, right.
The toll booth at this top of the divide really helps cut down on that.
Wait, there's one. Totally do that. So, Justin.
Now I know. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Now we know. Justin, when did you start? Were you also 5 with your chainsaws? Like, what are you doing? Like, how'd you learn to cut trail?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I was a serial. My pops was a serial killer.
No, so I grew up on a farm, and I had a lot of experience kind of doing rough bits of everything. So we did a lot of logging, got a lot of chainsaw experience in that regard, built a lot of dirt roads to get to things, and then I got into mountain biking when I was I started messing around on a mountain bike I think when I was 14, and then kind of found a regional development team that was based out of a shop in my town, super small town in upstate New York.
In New York?
Yeah, Windham, New York.
Mountain bike New York?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no. I miss the East Coast sometimes. Yeah, got really into riding, kind of fell into it, hadn't been good at other sports, and it sort of just clicked for me. Here was this thing I didn't need like a team. I could just go do. And the shop also, in addition to having the Devo team, also was kind of the epicenter of trail building and maintenance in the area, and it was a lot of land access issues there because it was all DEC watershed for New York City. So every bit of trail was a fight, and we had to build a lot of stuff by hand because they wouldn't let machinery on it. So got a little bit of experience doing that, and then raced for a long time professionally, kind of rode in a lot of different places, saw a lot of different trail building techniques, saw a lot of different dirt.
So if you'd started when you were 12, would have been a totally different game, or 10, or because 14's
yeah, it was a little on the late side.
A little on the late side, yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of pre all the NICA programs and stuff like that.
Right. They didn't have high school teams or anything. You just have to do it all on your own. And
yeah, you were still an oddball kid riding a bike at school. So yeah, I think probably is the answer. Unfortunately, if I'd gotten a couple years head start on it, it might have been an easier road to kind of get into being, a top level racer or whatever. But I don't know. I was glad to find it. It kind of steered the direction of my life for a long time. So,
well, what brought you to Utah?
My wife and I moved out here about 11 years ago. She got a job teaching at Weber State University, actually.
What department?
She's in the theater department. She does lighting and sound design.
Yeah.
So we moved out here. I had never been to this part of Utah. I had spent a little bit of time in Moab and raced in a couple other places, but just in and out missions, kind of not.
What was your first impression of biking Moab?
It was awesome. I'd actually taken a semester off of school through a long series of events, and got a part-time job taking care of these people's ranch there for 3 months, I think, in early February, starting in February. And so nobody was there. I just, I took care of these people's animals, and I rode for 5 hours every day on the awesomest trails I had ever seen.
So being from here and going down in I don't know if we went down in junior high, but in high school we would go down, and so even though we're north of about 4.5 hours away, it was still you grow up, you mountain bike in Moab, and I go back there now. I'm I can't believe we did this stuff. This stuff is crazy. Were you intimidated at all by some of those trails? Because it is different than anything else. It's wild.
Yeah, especially coming from mostly at that point in my life, East Coast riding, which is always in this dense corridor of trees, and you can see the trail because it's really well defined, and so much of Moab, particularly at that time, is just paint stripes on the rocks, and you're
bike
where
marks.
Am I? I had a day where I double flatted 50 miles out in the middle of nowhere, and didn't have any more tubes. And I'm like, man, this is gonna be a really long walk back to town.
Yeah.
And some lady in a Jeep picked me up. It was just, the whole experience was kind of mind blowing at the time.
Right.
I still can't like drop into Moab on the highway without being like, this is a really special place. Like it's pretty rad.
So how much do you ride these days?
I mean, a fraction of what I used to.
You get the itch? You get the itch to like race?
Yeah, you know, not really, to be honest. Every now and again I'll be like, you know, it'd be a good idea, let's do it. And then I kind of go out and look at my power numbers or whatever, and I'm like, no, you're a long way from where you were.
He's being humble. He
3 days a week.
very good.
That's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
I'm picking up on like, this dude can bike. Like, I would not do like a Saturday with him. Like I'd feel there's no way.
No. Nobody.
Well, what's your favorite trails around Let's talk about Ogden, because now you're here and you biked all over the United States or in different places. You know, what do you like about Ogden and some of the favorite biking trails here?
Spork.
Spork is awesome. No, I mean, I think Ogden, when I first moved here, you know, like it was pretty amazing how much access to trails you had directly from town. That's a pretty unique circumstance.
Trying to keep that secret, so
yeah, I mean, it's really far. You got to commute. Parking areas are terrible. Yeah, our favorite trail. I mean, I'm a big fan of kind of large like adventure rides, which is why Alan's vision and Eden Valley Trail's vision of like this connected loop in the Ogden Valley is so cool, because it's one thing to go to a place and ride a bunch of trails at a cool network. You know, like North Fork Park has a great trail network, and they're really fun, but like you're in this contained area. When you can do a big ride, you know, whatever that means to you, whether that's 25 miles or 40 miles or 80 miles, you know, it doesn't super matter. But like if you can string a loop together and feel like you went somewhere on your ride, that's a cool feeling. And Ogden has a few of those already if you're willing to deal with some, what Alan and Bryce might say is not so much fun trail. But like I love going, I'll ride from my house in North Ogden over the Pioneer Trail, which is like the dirt divide, go to North Fork Park, climb up to Ben Lomond Summit, come down to the divide, and then back to my house.
That's brutal.
It's
that's a small ride for him.
God, but that's wild.
But it's a, you know, like you finish it and you're like, man, you feel like you went on some epic adventure and you were never really more than 20 miles, you know, straight line from your house. And you can see the town. Epic views, you know, just a bunch of different forest, you know, biomes. Word. Sure, yeah. Let's roll with it. Yeah, that works. Yeah, awesome. And then so Powder put some trails in. You guys ever spend some time up there? Yeah. They're really doing some. Are they putting more in this year? No, they're putting in lifts this year. They're removing a bunch. Yeah. Oh, they're removing. Yeah. They're going through a big phase of developing right now. They're trying to figure out who they are. Right? They are. They're who they are. They're coming out, and that'll be interesting to see. We've been working with them to see what can happen around there. There's a lot of really good possibilities of making some big loops up there. They just need to convince. So you're in conversation with them? Yeah. Sweet. Just need to convince Reed. Is there a way to get from Eden up the mountain besides the road? Not yet, but we're looking at it. Yeah, that's what you're looking at. Okay. Yeah, I've done too many miles of bushwhacking this year. I'm really getting tired of it, but when it's hell on earth, you're out there, you're just going through bushes that are as tall as me and just pushing your way through bushes. Your average speed is a half mile an hour, but you're finding a trail. You're finding where you could put a trail eventually and figuring out how to connect the next section to the next section. So what's your day like? You like wake up and grab some gloves and head out the door and meet these two and go to work? Like, what do you do? We meet up at 7 a.m. We go out there. We start hike up the trail. We've been hiking about 1.5 miles up with gear. You do start with a double shot of espresso. Triple shot, typically. He runs up the mountain in the morning. I fall back down. He falls back down at the end of the day. We go up there. So Bryce will be operating the Mini X. The two of us will be following. Sometimes one of us can easily keep up, where Justin will go out and start cutting ahead, or I'll go out and start flagging the trail up ahead. We kind of take turns. There's a lot of monotonous work of raking rocks, cutting roots. I mean, if anybody
who listens to this ever wants to just come out and cut roots for 4 or 5 hours.
You should mention that. Yeah, volunteers are accepted, and
yes, especially for cutting roots.
Yeah,
Alan's favorite job.
If you think your job is boring and unfulfilling, come out with us for 4 hours and cut roots, and you'll be like, yeah, I get to enter some numbers into a spreadsheet for the day.
God. Todd, you down? Let's go cut roots.
I hear his character.
Yeah, that's what it does. Mm-hmm. We work 10-hour days, 10 and a half hour days. 4
Get
days
paid overtime, obviously.
Oh, yeah, massive amount of overtime.
Keeps you fit, keeps you young. Yeah.
Who needs the gym?
Good news. Yeah, you don't need a gym. And good news, it's just going to get hotter. So even though you're up there in the, about 5-10 degrees cooler wherever you're at, maybe?
Not quite.
Not quite. 4.
Yeah, 4. Yeah. Justin came back the other day after chainsawing. How many liters of water did you drink, Justin?
I had 7.5 liters of water over the day, and I lost 5 pounds. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I got home on the scale, and I was like, from my hat to my socks, soaked.
Well, the water that you're taking up weighs more than probably all the equipment. I mean, that's a lot of water.
You just can't drink it fast enough. You honestly can't.
Yeah.
He drinks more than the mini.
That's funny. Oh,
I was not made for this climate, perhaps.
You need a little bit more humidity out here.
Actually, yeah. Like, I know that everybody thinks I'm crazy when I say that, but my body would rather have like 80% humidity than no humidity in 100 degrees.
So I'm going to post this tomorrow, actually, on Facebook, on my personal Facebook, but I'm making fun of people because it's going to be 100 here tomorrow and the next week. Well, I'm going to Florida where it's only 90. But the humidity is 70-80%, which means it's actually hotter than 100 here because it's freaking ridiculously hot there with the 90 because 90 doesn't matter. It's the humidity that just like, oh my God, it's insane.
You'll walk outside and just be drenched in sweat.
So last year, because we go out once every July, and last year, so we rent a car, and I got to vacuum out the rent car before we take it back, and I'm vacuuming, and I'm flooding the car with sweat. I'm like, I don't know this is worth it because I'm getting the sand out, but I'm just dripping sweat everywhere all over this car.
Remember that next time you rent a rental car.
Yeah, well, and that's like the first minute, because it happens like instantly. Like you can't. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. So anyway, but yeah, a little bit more humidity because we're very dry. We are a desert. A lot of people forget that. So speaking of, Alan, I was going to ask you this. I'm from Ogden. I go back. There's lots of arguments. There's a lot of environmental arguments. One of them, I'm more of a romanticist, I guess. I like things when they say like, let's put a gondola. I'm like, hell yeah, let's put a gondola. It'd look cool. Like, and then the environmentalists come and like, yeah, well, you're going to ruin this. And then I sit there and I look at the hills and I'm like, I don't know. To me, it looks like a bunch of rocks and scrub brush. Like I don't get it as much. I'm like, it's not lush forest, in other words. And so when you're building trails, are there environmental issues that you're up against, or like are people giving you pushback that says like, yeah, this is a bad idea?
Yeah, I mean, there's always people who say this trail might be a bad idea for one reason or another. We're pretty conscientious when we're out there. I mean, we love fir trees. I mean, we will go out of our way to avoid, a 100-year-old fir tree, a 200-year-old fir tree. We look to see where we're going. As we were walking up the trail today, we just saw moose. Yeah, it was moose and deer prints all over the brand new trail. I mean, they like it. In the winter, the trails that we groom, I think a lot of moose have had their lives saved because they could walk on those trails and, during the night and feed because they don't sink into the snow as much. So, yeah, I mean, we do try to consider that. There's always, any sort of recreating outdoors. But I think that biking, hiking is probably one of the lowest on the bar. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Dustin.
No, I'm sorry. I was lost in the significance of that. Yeah, I mean, when we're laying out the trail, it's a pretty involved process that's a bunch of steps, and a lot of that is looking at the terrain to manage things that are related to the trail building specifically, like water and the grade and what you're going to do with the features on the trail. But we also spend a pretty not insignificant amount of time trying to figure out how to minimize how much cutting we're going to do to go through where we want to go. We made like a log skinny today, and we like went way further up the hill to cut a dead tree than we needed to. That we could have picked something closer. In other words, so yeah, I mean, it's mountain biking is not a zero environmental impact sport, but it's pretty low compared to a lot of other things. So in terms of a thing that can build commerce and community, it's low on the list of terrible things you could be doing. So.
Yeah, a lot of these things can be used as fire breaks. I mean, there's a lot of dry timber up there.
Yeah.
That they can get in there with ATVs with water and things like that.
How wide do you guys go? What's the standard?
Well, the Mini X is just a little over 60 inches.
Yeah. So
62 inches, I think.
5 feet.
So
5 feet. Okay.
Yeah.
So then a little buffer there because I really don't want to fall off the mountain.
Okay. Fair.
Bryce puts himself in some precarious spots in the Mini.
on the ledge. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when you see him pick up a thing of dirt, he was picking up this log today, and he goes out over the side, and you just see the whole thing slowly tip forward, and both of us are just looking at him like, no, don't do that.
Well, how much of your nonprofit is? It feels like there's an urgency to build new trails right now, and then how much will be of your time, percentage-wise or whatever, will be to maintenance and maintaining the trails that are being built, or the trails that are already out there?
If they're built right, there's not a lot of maintenance. I mean, we can get out there early in the year, spend a couple weeks, and we can hit a lot of the trails. We can cut it back. That's sometimes good for getting volunteers out, getting other people to help. So, I mean, we've spent several weeks up at North Fork trimming back the brush. That's one of the things that makes North Fork so great, is that we maintain it. We maintain the trails. We make it so that you can come around a corner and not feel like you're going to run into someone. So, yeah, I mean, I really don't see us moving into that next phase where we're only doing maintenance for a very long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Todd, you got anything else real quick before we wrap these gentlemen?
No, thanks for all the information. What can we do? You mentioned before, volunteers are nice to dig roots. What else can we do?
Well, one of the things we have right now is a great matching donation from Biker's Edge. They've really helped us out. So they're matching dollar for dollar up to $50,000. People can go onto our website, EdenValleyTrails.com, and donate there. Running a trail crew is not cheap. I mean,
what is it per mile or per?
Yeah, we go through the easiest thing is per day, about $1,000 per day.
Okay.
I mean, we've got a Mini X, we've got fuel, we've got 3 full-time employees, and plus all the insurances and everything else to go with that. So it costs money, but in the end, it's worth it. I mean, that's one thing I think I can say is that to see a trail process all the way through, there's nothing else like that. Bryce and I have talked about that, and Jess and I, about seeing it go from a thought in your head on a computer screen to actually writing it and seeing other people saying, yeah,
well, that's a good point. It's one of those jobs where you literally see the work being done, and then not only that, but you can take advantage of it.
And then it's going to be there long after I'm dead.
Yeah.
And, hopefully, it'll be there long after that.
Are the trails you're building open to, we talk a lot about mountain biking, but are they hiking, are they open to equestrian and I guess motorbikes and that kind of thing?
No, motorbikes are the only thing that aren't. Equestrians, just depends on the trail specific.
Okay.
So usually most of the trails, Spork is a bike-only trail. Most of the other trails up at North Fork are all access except for motorized Motorized. It just depends where they're at.
Okay. Cool. What did we miss? Anything?
No, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. That's awesome. So go to you reached out by the way, shout out to using the Instagram. It worked. We've been teasing. Slide into my DMs. You can come on the show, and no one's done it. Finally.
Boy, that sounds a little creepy.
Someone slid into my DMs.
Alan wasn't scared.
Alan's the first. I'll take it. Alan.
I'm glad it was your first there.
Yeah. You always remember your first. Yeah. Alan slid into those DMs and is like, "Hey, we're doing something fun and important." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, you are. Let's go. Let's get you on the program." And so, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. It's a great way to reach out. So if people want to reach out to you, you can slide into your DMs, which is Eden Valley?
EdenValleyTrails.com. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can sign up. You'd also get signed up for volunteer things. We're on Facebook and Instagram also.
Yeah, perfect. Any events coming up, like trail building or like money raising events or anything?
Nothing big at this point. We're talking about Wednesday night doing a volunteer session up there. We're going to be putting together a bridge. So if anyone wants to come get their fitness on, come up there. They can cover
tomorrow or next week.
Next week. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Next week. Carry some lumber up the hill. Feel like they help build a bridge out there. Maybe they could cut some roots. They could experience true trail building.
True root cutting.
Yeah. Todd, you're welcome.
Thanks for what you're doing to the kids. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Alan, Bryce, Justin, thanks for spending some time with us. Todd, what do you got down there going? I mean, you're working, Todd, so there must be some important stuff going on down there.
I do, but I'll be honest. The only thing that I want to mention and talk about is that it's Shark Week. I don't know if you guys know that. True. Yeah. Shark Week, it started on Sunday. It's going through Saturday. John Cena's hosting, he cracks me up, and so it's kind of perfect. And so, if you haven't checked out,
I cannot believe you're a fan of John Cena. This blows my mind. Are you serious?
Who participates in Shark Week? Come on,
they've had meatheads the last few years, and so it makes sense that John Cena's on there. But I didn't. That cracks me up that you pay attention.
He is an actor. He is not a meathead. He is an actor.
Actually, a pretty nice guy.
He comes across as a pretty nice guy. And what is the movie I loved best was like, what's the
everything he's done.
Father, where the dads meet each other, but it's the grandpas come in. It's Mark Wahlberg. And John Cena's in there, and it's like a Christmas version. Oh my God, it's so funny. Anyway, okay, John Cena's hosting Shark Week.
But just know it's on Discovery Plus, and it's also on Max, which is HBO streaming.
Is he getting kickbacks from that?
Yeah. Well,
not yet.
They called us and was like, "Hey, can you just mention, Shark Week is on?" And
Todd's like, "Yeah."
Cena's like,
"I love Shark Week. Oh, it's so much fun."
So typically we're in Florida, in which I'm leaving tomorrow, and so we'll be up there when this comes out. I'll be there by the pool, but we sit in the swimming pool and we watch Shark Week from the pool, and that's pretty fun because you're in water and you're watching the shark. But that's one way to do it, man. And Jaws, one of my all-time favorite movies. I tell you what,
that's a pretty good classic.
Classic. All right, thanks, Todd. Anything else?
No, that's good. If you are not familiar with Finch Lane, come check us out. That seems secondary to Shark Week, honestly.
Yeah.
My place of work seems way less important right now. So,
all right. Thank you to Banyan One. This is this trailer right here for powering today's episode of the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. You can listen and subscribe to the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram as well, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, thebanyancollector.com, and we have a Podbean app for Android and iPhones. You can DM us. So thanks so much, Alan. It works. Yeah. What do you know? It works. You can be on the show. Let us know. At Ogden Adventure is the Instagram handle that I'm in charge of, or whatever. So I've had it for years. Hit me up there, and we'll put you in the. We'll put you on the calendar if you're worthy, I guess. If you find value in this podcast, maybe. If you find value in this podcast, you can consider supporting us at buymeacoffee.com/Banyan Media. That's not really buying us a coffee. That's like giving us money.
You're not required legally.
Yeah, yeah. And ours is set up like buy me a beer, but we got beer. So just cash would be awesome. So we will leave you this week. This week's Outdoor Jukebox is This Door, as recorded live on Van Sessions from J.P. Whipple. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next Ogden Arts and Adventure Show.
Trees get no shelter from the sky. Fields are fallow to well dry. Villagers gather full of feasts, but there's only stone. This door once been open, can't be closed. businessman, he offers you a deal. Fistful of dollar for your last meal. Your servants are throwing rocks at your window. This door once been opened, it can't be closed. The idiot is leading the band, singing jingles to the company brand. It's the same old song we used to know. We heard this long ago. The preacher lies naked in the road. No one comes to save his soul. His ghost is powerless to stop the crow. His door once been open and can't be closed. The old witch, she tell you no lie. You can see the spell in her green eye. She shows you a secret behind a curtain of bones. This door once been open and can't be closed. And plane falls from the sky. The pilot has no will left to fly. Tells the passengers the same old joke. We heard this long ago. It was better the first time, but that's all right.